You know what's dangerous? It isn't the person who openly hates you. At least with them, you know where you stand. The dangerous person is the one who smiles, congratulates you, tells you they're proud of you, while secretly hoping your life never gets better than theirs. And here's the scary part. Most of the time, they don't even realize they're doing it. Jealousy rarely announces itself. It doesn't walk into the room wearing an angry face. It doesn't always gossip about you. It doesn't always try to destroy you. Modern jealousy has become much quieter, much smarter, much harder to recognize. It hides behind support. It hides behind compliments. Sometimes, it even hides behind friendship. That's why so many successful people are blindsided. They spend years protecting themselves from enemies, while trusting the people who secretly resent their success. But before we continue, I need to make something clear. Feeling jealous doesn't automatically make someone a bad person. Every human being has experienced envy. The difference is what happens next. Healthy people see someone successful and think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. Jealous people see someone successful and think, I hope they don't get any further. That single difference changes every relationship they'll ever have. Today, I'm going to show you 5 behaviors jealous people repeat over and over again. Not because they're evil, but because insecurity always leaves fingerprints. And if you pay attention, you'll begin seeing those fingerprints everywhere. Stay with me until the end, because the 5th behavior almost nobody notices. Yet once you see it, you'll never unsee it again. Let's start with the first behavior. This one fools almost everyone. Jealous people usually love your dreams. They just don't love your progress. Tell someone you're thinking about starting a business. Most people will clap. That's awesome. You'll do great. I'm excited for you. Tell them you're finally going to lose weight. They're supportive. They encourage you. They tell you they believe in you. Everything feels genuine. But then something changes. You stop talking and start doing. You launch the business. You lose 20 pounds. You publish your first book. You start making real money. Now pay attention. Some people become even more excited. They ask for updates. They celebrate every milestone. They proudly tell others what you've accomplished. Those people want to see you win. But another group becomes strangely quiet. No congratulations. No curiosity. No excitement. Almost as if your success never happened. Why? Because potential is comfortable. Potential doesn't threaten anyone. Potential is just an idea. Progress is different. Progress creates comparison. Every step forward you take quietly. Remind someone else of every step they never took. Your discipline reminds them of their excuses. Your courage reminds them of their fear. Your consistency reminds them of every promise they broke to themselves. That's why progress makes insecure people uncomfortable. Think about 2 friends. Both dream of learning the guitar. One keeps talking about it for years. Everyone encourages him. The other practices every day. A year later, he's performing on stage. Suddenly, one friend is proud. The other barely says a word. The dream wasn't the problem. The proof was, real friends celebrate your effort just as much as your success. They don't disappear when your life starts improving. In fact, they become even more invested because your growth inspires them. It doesn't threaten them. Here's something worth remembering. Success doesn't create jealousy. Success reveals it. If someone's support disappears the moment your results appear, their encouragement was never unconditional. It only existed while you were standing still. Now here's where things become much more subtle. The second behavior doesn't sound dangerous at all. In fact, it usually sounds like someone who simply cares about you. They ask questions, lots of questions. How much did your new job pay? How much was your house? How did you meet that investor? What's your next move? At first, it feels completely normal. Friends ask questions. Friends are interested. So you answer openly, honestly, because that's what trust looks like. Weeks later, something strange happens. Someone else somehow knows your salary. Someone you've never met knows your future plans. People begin talking about details you only shared with one person. Information doesn't magically travel. Someone carried it. This is where jealous people become dangerous. They don't collect information to understand you. They collect information to compare themselves to you, to judge you, to gossip about you, or to quietly use against you later. Think about a detective. A detective asks questions because every answer helps build a case. Jealous people often do the same thing. Every personal detail becomes another file, in their mental cabinet. Another weakness, another comparison, another opportunity. Real friends ask questions because they care about your well-being. Jealous people ask questions because knowledge feels like control. So ask yourself something. After spending time with this person, do you feel understood? Or do you feel exposed? Your intuition usually knows the answer long before your mind is willing to admit it. And here's what's fascinating. The next behavior is even harder to recognize because it sounds exactly like genuine admiration until you notice where that admiration suddenly disappears. The third behavior is one of the easiest to miss because it feels like support until you notice where that support disappears. Have you ever had someone tell you, "You're incredibly talented. You deserve everything you're achieving. I'm so proud of you," when it's just the two of you? Their words sound sincere. You leave the conversation feeling appreciated. Then a week later, you're in a room full of people. Someone else brings up your name. They mention your achievement. They compliment your work. Now, watch your supportive friend. Do they add to the conversation? Do they proudly tell everyone how hard you've worked? Do they recommend you? Or do they suddenly become quiet? Maybe they change the subject. Maybe they look down at their phone. Maybe they simply nod and say nothing. That silence says more than their compliments ever did. Why? Because praising you in private costs them nothing. Praising you in public increases your value. It raises your status. It makes other people respect you more. And that's exactly what jealousy struggles to accept. Real friends become your biggest promoters. They celebrate you even when you're not in the room. They recommend your business. They share your work. They tell people, "You should meet my friend. They worked incredibly hard for this." They deserve every bit of success. They don't see your success as competition. They see it as something worth celebrating. Jealous people do the opposite. They want you to know they admire you, but they don't want the world to admire you too. Here's a simple question. Has someone ever praised you privately, but stayed completely silent when they had the chance to support you publicly? If the answer is yes, pay attention. That pattern rarely changes. Now let's move to something even darker. The fourth behavior isn't about what they say. It's about what they remember. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has embarrassing moments. Everyone fails. That's part of being human. Healthy people remember your growth. Jealous people remember your failures. Think about someone who still brings up a business that failed 5 years ago, a relationship that ended, a mistake you already learned from. They remember every detail, the date, the place, the conversation, almost as if they filed it away in perfect condition. But ask them about your biggest achievement, the promotion you earned, the company you built, the habit you finally changed. Suddenly, their memory isn't nearly as good. Why? Because your failures give them comfort. Your failures reassure them that maybe they aren't falling behind after all. Your success forces comparison. Your failure removes it. That's why some people become historians of your worst moments. Every time your confidence grows, they quietly remind you of the person you used to be. Real friends don't do that. They remind you how far you've come. They don't chain you to old versions of yourself. Because people who genuinely care about you want you to outgrow your past, not relive it forever. And finally, here's the fifth behavior. This one is almost impossible to fake. Because words can lie. The body usually can't. Imagine you're sitting with a group of friends. Someone begins talking about your accomplishments. People ask you questions. They're genuinely interested. For a few minutes, the attention naturally shifts toward you. Now don't watch what the jealous person says. Watch what they do. They cross their arms. They suddenly become restless. They check their phone. They interrupt. They crack a joke to redirect attention. Or they create an entirely new conversation. Anything to move the spotlight away from you. Why? Because insecure people often believe attention is limited. If you're receiving it, they believe they're losing it. That's why your success feels personal to them, not because you've hurt them, but because your progress forces them to confront the gap between where they are and where they wish they were. Confident people don't think this way. Secure people can sit quietly and smile and enjoy watching someone they care about succeed. They don't need every room to revolve around them. They don't measure their worth by how much attention they receive. That's emotional maturity. Here's the lesson I hope you take away from this video. Don't become paranoid. Don't assume everyone secretly envies you. Jealousy is a normal human emotion. What matters is whether someone lets that emotion control the way they treat you. Never judge people by one conversation. Judge them by repeated patterns. Patterns reveal character. If someone consistently celebrates your victories, protects your privacy, supports you both publicly and privately, encourages your growth, and feels genuine joy when you succeed, hold on to that person. They're incredibly rare. But if someone repeatedly disappears when you make progress, collects information they don't protect, stays silent when others praise you, keeps reminding you of your failures, or becomes visibly uncomfortable whenever you shine, believe what their behavior is telling you, not what their words are promising. Before you leave, I want to ask you something. Have you ever had a friend who slowly changed after your life started improving? Or have you noticed one of these 5 behaviors in someone close to you? Leave a comment below. Your experience might help someone else recognize fake support before it damages their confidence. And if you enjoy learning about psychology, human behavior, self-discipline, and the hidden patterns that shape our lives, make sure you subscribe to Mr. No Excuses. Every week, we uncover the truths most people overlook so you can build stronger relationships, make wiser decisions, and protect your peace. Remember this: jealous people don't fear your dreams. They fear your progress. Because dreams are harmless. Progress is proof. And proof is something insecurity can never ignore.